Hello, and welcome to SHSA TV. My name is Darby Sovin, and I'm the Research and Development Consultant at SHSA. Today we have a very exciting episode for you. We are on location at Timeline Logistic, where our very own Larry Glow, Senior Advisor, will be sitting down with the President of Timeline Logistic, Troy Stimson. They will be discussing the technology and innovation surrounding their safety management system that has allowed them to become the recipient of this year's 2017 SABEX Safety Award. Now let's head over and join Larry and Troy now.
Thank you very much, Darby, for the introduction. I want to congratulate you, Troy, on winning the SABEX Award for Safety here in Saskatoon recently. And again, congratulations for that.
Thanks, Larry. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to come out and see us today.
Our pleasure as well. So to get started, we're looking for who is Troy Stimson and where did you come from?
I've been in the trucking industry now for 17 years. I started out as a logistics coordinator with JBM Logistics, transporting produce out of California, and I did that for 10 years. And after that, I moved into the operations manager at RSB Logistics, and from there, I was in safety compliance with Timeline, and eventually into the president position I am now.
Oh my, that's quite a career already, and you're still young. Next thought I have in mind is, who is Timeline Logistics? Where did it come from, and where's it going?
Thanks, Larry. Timeline Logistics started in September 2010 with the primary focus to be better than everybody else. I've been in the trucking industry long enough to know the good things and know the bad things, and we want to be able to take all the good qualities of the trucking industry, all the safety aspects of the trucking industry, and make them better. Our primary goal was to transport nuclear material for the front end of the nuclear cycle, so we knew we had to be better than everybody else.
Thank you. Again, wow, what a company. Next question is to do with your mission and your vision. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so our mission and our vision is plain. We want to be better than everybody else. We want to be the premier carrier in North America, transporting not only nuke material, but all the other material as well. And we do this by developing safety programs, having quality management programs, environmental programs. We have many programs in place to help us achieve this. And we hire people and we train people to make sure that they administer these programs properly.
You talked before about the state of the art of technology when it comes to safety. Can you talk about that a little bit for us?
Yeah, so the technology has grown in the last few years. Especially in the trucking industry, it's getting more and more. Right now, we're able to track our trucks through the satellite tracking. We have electronic logbooks in our trucks. We track speed, we track driver patterns, we track fuel efficiency, and everything else in the truck. So we watch speed, we watch how the driver shifts their gears, how they are driving the truck on a continuous basis, so we can coach them and mentor them to be better and to be safer on the road. We're the first company in Western Canada to use electronic logbooks, and in December 2017, it is going to be mandatory in the US, so we're way ahead of the curve in that. We're a leader in that field right now.
You talked about as well in the conversations and your application for your SABEX Award of you're ahead of the game when it comes to technology. What does that mean? Well,
that means companies come to us first. So there's our satellite provider, Shaw Tracking, and their partners, OmniTrax, and we're always one of the first people Shaw Tracking contacts when they want to test a new product. We've been a beta test for a number of different new products that they're using, and we're able to take this technology and adapt it into our system and try to help our drivers be safer and more efficient on the road.
Again, amazing. Another question I have. Tell me about how it'll never happen again.
So our safety program is designed to stop things from happening. And the way we do this is we track everything right from drivers speeding down the road to hours of service violations to accidents and injuries and everything, but we track everything. And we do that for the reason to stop things from happening again. So we use the plan, do, check attitude in lean manufacturing, and we always bring everything full circle to try and stop something from happening again.
Okay, very nice. And just again, anything else you want to add to what you're doing here?
Timeline Logistic is in the business of transporting goods throughout North America. We're 80,000 pounds, 75 feet long. We don't start as fast as cars. We don't stop as fast as cars. We don't maneuver nearly as well as cars. So we need to be better, safer on the road. We need to train people better. We need to have better drivers, better programs, better everything in place to make sure that everybody arrives home safely. The last thing I want is a phone call in the middle of the night saying one of my drivers hit somebody or somebody hit one of my drivers and there's injuries involved. That's the last thing I want. I've had to deal with that in the past, and I don't want to have to deal with that. Everybody in the trucking industry knows that it's not a matter of when you have an accident, it's a matter of what you do when you have that accident and how you stop that accident from happening. So our entire program is built on trying to avoid them, but at the same time being able to deal with them when they happen and trying to stop them from happening again, learning from them. So we've created some predictive technologies, and our whole program is designed to make sure that everybody comes home safely is pretty much what it is.
Again, an amazing organization. Who in your organization, I know you got a large staff here, who actually drives all that? Who has the push to make sure these things actually are happening and taking place and we are with a safe truck on the road?
Mm-hmm. So it all comes right from the top, right? There has to be a total buy-in from everybody, and it has to come from the top. So most of the programs, I'm the one that's pushing them forward. We have a meeting every Monday. We call it our Vision 2020 meeting, where everybody gets together and we generate ideas and thoughts on how we can be better. And continual improvement is a big thing within our company. And I'm always the driving force behind it. How can this happens, so what can we do better so it doesn't happen again? What can we do to get things better? We have young staff, we have a creative staff, and we breed that creativity. We encourage creativity, and we want everybody to be able to contribute to the company and make the company better. So we're always looking at different ways of doing things, thinking outside the box, and making things better for our staff, our customers, and the general public.
Well, I am the general public out on the road, and Troy, I really appreciate you being president and the way you drive the safety of this organization. So thank you very much for this interview.
Thanks, Larry.
It was very, very valuable to all of our employers in Saskatchewan.
Thank you very much, Larry and Troy. Timeline Logistic is a great example for us, as they are a leader in safety and have incorporated some integral aspects into their safety management system and organization in general. Some of these main components I'd like to expand on so that we can translate them through to the service and hospitality industry. The first main component that Troy spoke of was management commitment. This is extremely important for the success of a safety management system and having a positive safety culture. In some organizations, the senior management level is far removed from the day-to-day operations. They may even be in a different city or province. Any contact they have with the workplace is probably not focused in any way on health and safety. But if senior management does not actively show an interest in the health and safety of their workplace, no one else will either. There are things that you can do to show commitment and start the move towards an improved workplace health and safety culture. One way to show commitment is to have hazard identification and control processes in place. The second main component that Troy spoke of is having effective hazard identification and control processes in place. Now let's go over a tailored-down approach on how to effectively accomplish this. There are 6 stages to this process, and we will talk about tips and tools for each stage. Number 1, identify hazards and associated risks, their potential for causing harm, and inventory of hazards. Number 2, prioritize hazards based on risk. Evaluate the likelihood of an injury or illness occurring and its severity. Number 3, determine controls, a record of controls at various locations, and adequacy of control measures. Number 4, implement controls. Take action to put the controls in place and functioning properly. 5, measure effectiveness of controls. Monitor periodically to confirm controls continue to function. And finally, continuous improvement. Monitor for improvements. Consider normal operational situations, as well as non-standard events such as shutdowns, power outages, emergencies, etc. Review all available health and safety information about the hazard, such as SDSs, manufacturer's literature, information from reputable organizations, results of testing, etc. Keep any documentation or records that may be necessary. Documentation may include detailing the processes used to assess the risk, outlining any evaluations, or detailing how conclusions were made. In order for you to start this process, you need to know what we mean when we talk about hazards, so let's start there. Now let's look at the importance of why we need to identify and control hazards and the categories that they fall under. Everyone in an organization has a legal responsibility to identify and control hazards. This responsibility is referred to in the OH&S Regulations 1996, Part 3 under General Duties. Hazards can be divided into two main categories: health hazards and safety hazards. Examples of health hazards can include biological, chemical, ergonomic, physical agents, and psychosocial. Safety hazards include falls, pinch points or sharp edges, vehicles, moving machinery or equipment malfunction, dropping items, working at heights, fire and explosions. Risk can be explained as the product of probability and severity of harm. Probability of harm is affected by the worker's experience, exposure to the hazard, proximity to the hazard, distractions in the workplace, and work environment. For example, a worker is more likely to be harmed by a tool when working in a dark corner than when doing the same task in a well-lit shop. Hazards need to be identified in all areas of an organization, not just the obvious areas like a restaurant kitchen. A hazard can exist without posing a risk. For example, a sharp knife in a drawer is a hazard, but only becomes a risk when a person opens that drawer and reaches for the knife. To determine the risk, you need to consider the following: product information and manufacturer documentation, past experience of the worker, health and safety information such as SDSs and information from other organizations like the SHSA and OH&S, legislated requirements and applicable standards, the work environment, layout, lighting, noise. More risks to consider are the capability or skill and experience of the workers who will be exposed to the hazard, frequency of exposure, methods and procedures already in place for controlling that hazard, percentage of the workforce exposed, and degree of harm likely to result. To be able to prioritize hazards allows you the opportunity to be proactive and control potentially dangerous situations. Risks can be classified as anywhere from very low to very high. Risks that are high to very high must be controlled before work continues. Some of the low risk hazards will never be controlled, and that's okay. For example, a paper cut from a notebook. Keep in mind that what is considered a low risk at your workplace may be considered a moderate risk in a different workplace. Once all hazards have been measured for risk, you will have a prioritized list of hazards which can be controlled in order of importance. After your hazards have been prioritized, take the most hazardous job and control them immediately. Some hazards will have long-term solutions, but most still can be temporarily controlled before the worker returns to work. Remember, no one goes back to work until it is safe to do so. As we have mentioned, not all controls are created equal. This pyramid shows the different types of controls based on their effectiveness. When you're trying to control a hazard, always start at the top, being the most effective, and work your way down the pyramid, stopping whenever you have sufficiently controlled the hazard. The controls at the top of the pyramid are typically more difficult and costly to implement, but are the most effective and will provide the safest solution. As you work your way down, the controls become less difficult and less costly to implement. However, the effectiveness also is reduced. This is an example of an engineering control. All chemicals and soaps required for the laundry is contained with no need for contact by the employees themselves. Are your controls effective? To ensure your controls have been effective, make sure you can answer yes to the following. Is the risk posed by the original hazard contained? Have any created hazards been appropriately controlled? Are monitoring processes adequate? Have workers been adequately informed about the situation? Have orientation and training programs updated? Are any other measures required? Has the effectiveness of the hazard controls been documented in the committee minutes? Thanks so much for joining us today. A special thanks to Timeline Logistic and Sheraton Cavalier for hosting us, and to Troy for answering all of our questions. For more intensive training surrounding hazard identification and control, you can email us at info@servicehospitality.com, or feel free to give us a call, and one of our safety advisors would be more than happy to register you for one of our in-person training courses. They are new and improved in a workshop format that includes interactive group activities and discussions. You can also visit our website at www.servicehospitality.com. Thanks again for watching.